Okay, hi there, Abrar. We've got more essays from you, so let's get right into it. It's the local food one, so let's see what you said. Experts throughout both the developing and developed world have debated local food or imported food. Okay, that's a little Spartan, but fun. Some believe local food is an important tool to develop the economy and environment of the country. However, you need some sort of contrast here, not just a comma. Personally, I strongly disagree. This essay argues the two different viewpoints related to food trade, using examples from Oxford University, know the here, and UK government to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, fine. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that local food trade has a direct positive impact on the country's development, apostrophe S. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, it will develop the country's economy by enriching the local business and decreasing the unemployment rate. Secondly, the green areas plural, will increase, which will solve many environmental issues. For example, no A here, recent empirical research by the UK government demonstrated that the air pollution has been decreased, not has been decreased, but it has decreased by 60% in agricultural villages. Know the. Okay, therefore it is conclusively clear that when food is produced, passive voice, locally, it will improve the economy and uh, the uh, the air quality in the region, not fresh the air quality. On the other hand, although there is a case for local food benefiting the country economically and environmentally, the impact of imported food cannot be overstated, no comma. This is largely because it will allow international companies, get rid of the, to expand overseas since their foreign employees can find similar food wherever they travel. In addition, it will encourage tourism. For instance, an extensive study by the UK government showed that over 90% of tourists to London prefer to eat their own cuisine, spelled Russian. We just wrote their cousins, okay? In other words, their aunts' children. That's not what you mean. Careful with your spelling. And local food. Thus, it is possible to state that beyond a doubt that having international products in a region will improve it economically. Let me see if I understand your arguments here. Give me a second. Okay, I read it again. I'm not totally convinced about your your arguments here. All right, they're not totally plausible, but at least they're on topic and they get the job done. So, okay, I guess they're fine. I would have preferred that you wrote other things like, for example, local food sometimes cannot be produced in certain regions because of the geographical makeup of the land. So, for example, in places that are predominantly desert, it's very difficult to be able to supply enough food to feed the population. Therefore, importing food is the only option. Okay, so I would have preferred arguments more like that, but that's fine. Let's take a look at your conclusion. To conclude from the arguments and examples given, I firmly believe that international food has become necessary, not necessarily, necessary everywhere. It is predicted, careful, that the imported food trade will increasingly grow in importance in 2020. Okay, fine. Okay, lovely. Now we have this chip thing here. Okay, so to continue. This bar chart compares the monthly sales of Intel and AMD in France over the period of 12 months in 2017. In 2017, Intel sales, get rid of the and capitalize Intel, dominated the chip manufacturing market except in February, July, and October. Let's see about your accuracy, shall we? So what we want is, where is AMD greater? February, April, February, April, July, September, and October. Okay, so in terms of accuracy, not that great. I mean, I found 3 months where AMD sold more. Okay? All right, so in those months, the market was controlled by AMD. In addition, Intel sales in December were almost double those in January. Let's see. That's true. Yeah. Also, the highest sales rate was achieved by Intel in June, whereas the least was reached by AMD in the same month. In February, AMD reached its peak of sales at 120,000, no S, while Intel sales were only 80,000, no S. Moreover, the difference of sales between the two companies was relatively small in October, with 70 and 75,000, no S, for Intel and AMD, respectively. Overall, it is clear that there is no clear trend due to the constant fluctuations month to month. Okay, first of all, I disagree with your overview. I don't think that's entirely accurate. I think it is fairly clear that Intel outsold AMD. Take a look. 1 month, 2 month, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So while it's not a huge difference, it certainly is a difference that can be easily discerned, okay? Especially when you look at this. I mean, this is pretty, enormous right here. I am not a huge fan also of the way you organized it. You basically just had one detail paragraph, and I don't find that terribly helpful. One thing that I have seen a lot when people write this task 1, and I think it really helps, is if you divide the year in half. So then you describe the first half of the year, okay? And then you go and describe the second half of the year, and then you make your relevant points. It does appear that this half of the year, at least part of it, those 4 months at least, are rather stable, okay? So look what you have here. So Intel increases, and then it drops dramatically, and then again it increases. So for Intel, it's easy. Then Intel again drops again in July, and then has 3 months of stability, and then increases by about a third for the last 2 months. And that's pretty much it. AMD's trajectory is a lot different. So for the first 6 months, you've got 4 months where it's under 50,000, okay? And then you've got this 1 month where it's like 120,000, and then 1 month where there are no sales at all, okay? So that's how you could describe that first part of the year for AMD. In the second part of the year, it seems to perform much better with sales, reaching its highest peak in July, and then dropping to less than half, and then increasing again to around, you can say here, around 80,000. And then it finishes the year off again at considerably under 100. So that's one way you could have organized this, okay? I think it's easier to follow that way. You kind of just picked and chose, and it wasn't super easy to follow. So it's just one way. What I'm suggesting here is just one way to develop this chart. There is not just one right way. As I always say, there are multiple ways to approach a chart like this. There is no one ideal way. I am suggesting one of the good ways you could possibly do it. Okay, but again, for me, I didn't think that this was totally accurate. I would disagree with this. And I think you probably could have said a little more and separated your paragraphs differently. Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of this. Go ahead and correct these essays, return them back to us corrected, add to your error correction list, and of course, another set of essays. Let's meet back here so we can go over your new set. Good luck writing, and I'll be waiting for them then.